Hi everyone, this is Mukesh Kannan for Chennai Institute of Technology, and in today's video we are going to discuss about Lambda functions. So out of all the services that AWS provides, Lambda functions are by far my favorite ones, and I personally think Lambda functions are really great. So let us discuss why I think Lambda functions are great. So to define what are Lambda functions, they are serverless event-driven compute service that AWS provides us. So to be clear, let me elaborate on what serverless means. So when I got into cloud computing first, when people said serverless, I thought, so are we running our code without any service? That's my point of view when I first heard the word serverless. So to brief on that, uh, we do have servers in Lambda functions, but we don't have access to those servers. Like in case of EC2s, we get virtual machines, right? So in virtual machines, we get to access it into the hardware, and we can update, put security updates, all those things. We can interact with the OS, all those things we can do manually. But in Lambda functions, we still have a server running on the back end, but we don't have access to those kind of servers. So AWS takes care of pulling our code, routing stuff, or internal all the internal routing, and applying security patches, all the voice related stuff. AWS takes care of all those things. So this is what they mean by serverless. The server still exists, but we don't have access to those servers. That is what serverless means. And this itself is a really good advantage, because we don't have a headache of managing the operating system, updating security patches, and pulling our code each time when we update our code. So this is one of the reason people prefer Lambda functions. And the second reason is Lambda functions are really cheap. So apart from other functions like EC2s or ECS, all these functions they charge you by the duration they run. So if you have your instance running 24/7, you have to pay money for 24/7. But for Lambda functions, as they are serverless, you only pay for how many requests you send to your Lambda functions, and like you pay for number of invocations, and you pay for duration that your code runs. So this makes Lambda functions ideal for seasonal traffic applications. Like if you have an application that have lot of traffic during the daytime, and less traffic during the night time, and if you have EC2 instance, you have to pay constant amount for the whole day, running the compute service for the whole day. But in Lambda functions, you only pay for the overall traffic what you get. So for people who are on budget, they prefer to go with Lambda functions. And I have personally deployed lot of helped lot of team to deploy backend applications. Like they have applications on server, so I helped lot of team to deploy their code in Lambda functions. So these are the reasons that I really like Lambda functions. And we do have a lot of Lambda functions in AWS also support a lot of various languages, including Python, Node.js, Ruby's, all those things they support. So yeah, enough talking. So I would like to get our hands dirty in doing actual stuff, hands on. So what we are going to do is we are going to deploy this code. So let me show you this thing. So we have a simple Express application. This is the code, and we are going to deploy this into Lambda function, and we are going to configure API gateway in order to get a response back. This response back. So the application is really simple. It's an Express application. So whenever we send API request to the say route, we will get this response back, this JSON response back. That's the entire application. And when we are hosting in serverless platform like AWS, we need to export our app like this in order to use this. We cannot run it like this. So this is it. So in Lambda functions, you need to, while uploading the code, you need to zip the file, zip the entire code into one archive and in compressed file, and you need to upload that code directly into the AWS Lambda. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to compress everything into a single zip file. So zipping, yeah, and let us go to the AWS Lambda function. So in order to create, you need to sign in with your account. This is my account, and we need to click on create function in order to create Lambda function. So let me give a name. Hello world. You can play with all these stuffs. Like you can include your Lambda function inside a VPC, in a virtual private cloud, or you can place it in a private subnet where to make it even more secure. But we are not going to do that in our case. But there is an option you can do. It's the most preferred way when you are having database like when your Lambda function needs to communicate with RDS. You need to configure VPCs, and you need to have your RDS and Lambda functions in the same like same subnet. So this is the default code that we get when we create our application. So we're going to upload our code that we wrote there, this one. So this is the zip file. So we're going to upload this one. So it's uploading. That's it. Our code have been uploaded. The export function that for smaller project we AWS allow us to manipulate the code here, but for larger products you cannot do that. You need to zip file every time you make changes. And see to that, this handler function is this one. So in the index dot file we are exporting this handler, right? So make sure that handler is set to the correct export. So if you are using TypeScript and building the thing that the build, you need to provide the build directory like dist slash source slash index dot handler. That thing you need to provide here. So in our case that's not the case, so this is enough. And for this one, for the Lambda function has been deployed. It's in the AWS cloud, we can use it, but we need to trigger it in order to do something, right? So we need to create API gateways for that. So let me search API gateway, this one. And we are going to build a RESTful API. Let me give a name. This is going to be regional, not I mean to create resource. So what I'm going to do is create a proxy path. So what this thing is going to do, this proxy thing, what it's going to do is whenever user invokes, like the architecture looks something like this. This is the API gateway. Is here, and we have our Lambda function separate. This is where our express code runs. So we cannot directly trigger Lambda functions. In order to do so, we need to have the internet connection, right? So that's what this API gateway is going to do. This endpoint will be exposed to internet gateway. So internet. So whenever API gateway will give us a URL. So whenever we send request to the API gateway, this is going to forward this request to the Lambda functions. So what I have done there is I have set a proxy routes. So slash, I did this right. What this will do is we'll have a usernames like HTTP, like in terms of AWS.com, let's say. So when if I in the internet, in the browser, if I have slash username, the API gateway is going to put this user in Lambda function, like local whatever the server Lambda function has, is going to append the same route here and going to forward the request to Lambda function. So this is what proxy does. So I hope it's clear. And we need to attach our Lambda function here, like in order to work. So let me delete this one. Let me delete this and recreate this one. We need to integration. So we have to attach our Lambda function here. Like we have the API gateway, it's okay, and we need to make sure the API gateway is contacting the correct Lambda function. So we need to specify our Lambda function. So this is going to be a proxy integration. We need to select this hello will be created right now, right? So we need to select that one. So when I click save, our API gateway is created, and when we go to Lambda the Lambda that we created, we can see that trigger have been attached. So this is the trigger. This have been attached. So basically, we have deployed our code. Like we get the endpoint from API gateway. You know, deploy the API first. Create new stage. We give it test. Deploy the code. Has been deployed, and we would get an URL with it, like the invoke URL we'll get. So API gateway created this URL for us. In order to make interaction with our Lambda function, we need to use this URL. And yeah, as we can see, the API gateway is successfully configured with our Lambda function. So if we make call to this API endpoint, we should be able to see say that endpoint that I created. Yeah, it's working. So basically, when I'm going to the say route, it's giving me this JSON back. So basically, that's it for this video. I hope you got a gist of how we deploy on AWS Lambda. Thank you.